The 10th word, resurrection and the hereafter. Note, the main part of this translation of the 10th word is by Hamid Algar, Professor of Middle Eastern Studies in the University of California, Berkeley, USA, and was first published in 1980. It has been slightly amended to fit the present work. The reasons for my writing these treatises in the form of metaphors, comparisons and stories are to facilitate comprehension and to show how rational, appropriate, well-founded and coherent are the truths of Islam. The meaning of the stories is contained in the truths that conclude them. Each story is like an allusion pointing to its concluding truth. Therefore, they are not mere fictitious tales but veritable truths. 193.
يا أيها الناس.
At the end of the doomsday.
فانظر إلى.
At the beginning to revival. 193.
إذا زلزلت الأرض.
To the doomsday.
ما خلقكم.
To the rising again. 193. The total of the alifs. 193. The 10th word. 191. The author. 193. Bediuzzaman. The explanation of these corresponding numbers is given in the last 2 pages of the conclusion part, given at the end. Said Nursi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful.
فانظر إلى آثار رحمة الله كيف يحيي الأرض بعد موتها إن ذلك لمحيي الموتى وهو على كل شيء قدير.
Look then to the signs of God's mercy, how he restores life to the earth after its death. Verily it is who quickens the dead, for he is powerful over all things. Footnote 1. Quran, chapter 30, verse 50. Brother, if you wish for a discussion of resurrection and the hereafter in simple and common language in a straightforward style, then listen to the following comparison, together with my own soul. Once 2 men were traveling through a land as beautiful as paradise. By that land, we intend the world. Looking around them, they saw that everyone had left open the door of his home and his shop, and was not paying attention to guarding it. Money and property were readily accessible, without anyone to claim them. One of the 2 travelers grasped hold of all that he fancied, stealing it and usurping it. Following his inclinations, he committed every kind of injustice and abomination. None of the people of that land moved to stop him, but his friend said to him, "What are you doing? You will be punished, and I will be dragged into misfortune along with you. All this property belongs to the state. The people of this land, including even the children, are all soldiers or government servants. It is because they are, at present, civilians that they are not interfering with you. But the laws here are strict. The king has installed telephones everywhere, and his agents are everywhere. Go quickly and try to settle the matter." But the empty-headed man said in his obstinacy, "No, it is not state property. It belongs instead to some endowment, and has no clear or obvious owner. Everyone can make use of it as he sees fit. I see no reason to deny myself the use of these fine things. I will not believe they belong to anyone, unless I see him with my own eyes." He continued to speak in this way with much philosophical sophistry, and an earnest discussion took place between them. First, the empty-headed man said, "Who is the king here? I can't see him." And then his friend replied, "Every village must have its headman, every needle must have its manufacturer and craftsman, and as you know, every letter must be written by someone. How, then, can it be that so extremely well-ordered a kingdom should have no ruler? And how can so much wealth have no owner, when every hour a train, footnote 2, indicates the cycle of a year? Indeed, every spring is a carload of provisions coming from the realm of the unseen, arrives filled with precious and artful gifts, as if coming from the realm of the unseen. And all the announcements and proclamations, all the seals and stamps, found on all those goods, all the coins and the flags waving in every corner of the kingdom, can they be without an owner? It seems you have studied foreign languages a little, and are unable to read this Islamic script. In addition, you refuse to ask those who are able to read it. Come now, let me read to you the king's supreme decree. The empty-headed man then retorted, "Well, let us suppose there is a king. What harm can he suffer from the minute use I'm making of all his wealth? Will his treasury decrease on account of it? In any event, I can see nothing here resembling prison or punishment." His friend replied, "This land that you see is a maneuvering ground. It is, in addition, an exhibition of his wonderful royal arts. Then again, it may be regarded as a temporary hospice, one devoid of foundations. Do you not see that every day one caravan arrives as another departs and vanishes? It is being constantly emptied and filled. Soon the whole land will be changed. Its inhabitants will depart for another and more lasting realm. There everyone will be either rewarded or punished in accordance with his services." That treacherous empty-headed one retorted rebelliously, "I don't believe it. Is it at all possible that a whole land should perish and be transferred to another realm?" His faithful friend then replied, "Since you are so obstinate and rebellious, come, let me demonstrate to you, with 12 out of the innumerable proofs available, that there is a supreme tribunal, a realm of reward and generosity, and a realm of punishment and incarceration, and that just as this world is partially emptied every day, so too a day shall come when it will be totally emptied and destroyed." First aspect: is it at all possible that in any kingdom, and particularly so splendid a kingdom as this, there should be no reward for those who serve obediently and no punishment for those who rebel? Reward and punishment are virtually non-existent here. There must therefore be a supreme tribunal somewhere else. Second aspect: look at the organization and administration of this kingdom. See how everyone, including the poorest and the weakest, is provided with perfect and ornate sustenance. The best care is taken of the sick. Royal and delicious foods, dishes, jewel-encrusted decorations, embroidered garments, splendid feasts, all are to be found here. See how everyone pays due attention to his duties, with the exception of empty-headed people such as yourself. No one transgresses his bounds by as much as an inch. The greatest of all men is engaged in modest and obedient service, with an attitude of fear and awe. The ruler of this kingdom must possess, then, great generosity and all-embracing compassion, as well as at the same time great dignity, exalted awesomeness and honor. Now generosity requires liberality. Compassion cannot dispense with beneficence, and awesomeness and honor make it imperative that the discourteous be chastised, but not even 1,000th part of what that generosity and awesomeness require is to be seen in this realm. The oppressor retains his power, and the oppressed his humiliation as they both depart and migrate from this realm. Their affairs are then left to the same supreme tribunal of which we speak. Third aspect: see with what lofty wisdom and ordering affairs are managed, and with what true justice and balanced transactions are effected. Now a wise polity requires that those who seek refuge under the protecting wing of the state should receive favor, and justice demands that the rights of subjects be preserved, so that the splendor of the state should not suffer. But here in this land, not 1,000th part of the requirements of such wisdom and justice is fulfilled. For example, empty-headed people such as yourself usually leave this realm unpunished. So again we say, matters are postponed for the consideration of a supreme tribunal. Fourth aspect: look at these innumerable and peerless jewels that are displayed here. These unparalleled dishes laid out like a banquet. They demonstrate that the ruler of these lands is possessed of infinite generosity and an inexhaustible treasury. Now such generosity and such treasury deserve and require a bounteous display that should be eternal and include all possible objects of desire. They further require that all who come as guests to partake of that display should be there eternally and not suffer the pain of death and separation. For just as the cessation of pain is pleasurable, so too is the cessation of pleasure painful. Look at these displays and the announcements concerning them, and listen to these heralds proclaiming the fine and delicate arts of a miracle-working monarch and demonstrating his perfections. They are declaring his peerless and invisible beauty and speaking of the subtle manifestations of his hidden beauteousness. He must be possessed, then, of a great and astounding invisible beauty and perfection. This flawless hidden perfection requires one who will appreciate and admire it, who will gaze on it exclaiming, "Mashallah," thus displaying it and making it known. As for concealed and peerless beauty, it too requires to see and be seen, or rather to behold itself in two ways. The first consists of contemplating itself in different mirrors, and the second of contemplating itself by means of the contemplation of enraptured spectators and astounded admirers. Hidden beauty wishes, then, to see and be seen, to contemplate itself eternally and be contemplated without cease. It desires also permanent existence for those who gaze upon it in awe and rapture. For eternal beauty can never be content with a transient admirer. Moreover, an admirer destined to perish without hope of return will find his love turning to enmity whenever he imagines his death, and his admiration and respect will yield to contempt. It is in man's nature to hate the unknown and the unaccustomed. Now everyone leaves the hospice of this realm very quickly and vanishes, having seen only a light or a shadow of the perfection and beauty for no more than a moment, without in any way being satiated. Hence, it is necessary that he should go towards an eternal realm where he will contemplate the divine beauty and perfection. Fifth aspect. See, it is evident from all these matters that that peerless being is possessed of most great mercy, for he causes aid to be swiftly extended to every victim of misfortune, answers every question and petition, and mercifully fulfills even the lowliest need of his lowliest subject. If, for example, the foot of some herdsman's sheep should hurt, he either provides some medicine or sends a veterinarian. "Come now, let us go. There's a great meeting on that island. All the nobles of the land are assembled there." See, a most noble commander, bearing exalted decorations, is pronouncing a discourse, and requesting certain things from that compassionate monarch. All those present say, "Yes, we too desire the same," and affirm and assent to his words. Now listen to the words of that commander favoured by his monarch. "O monarch that nurtures us with his bounty, show us the source and origin of these examples and shadows you have shown us. Draw us nigh to your seat of rule. Do not let us perish in these deserts. Take us into your presence and have mercy on us. Feed us there on the delicious bounty you have caused us to taste here. Do not torment us with desperation and banishment. Do not leave your yearning, thankful and obedient subjects to their own devices. Do not cause them to be annihilated." Do you not hear him thus supplicating? Is it at all possible that so merciful and powerful a monarch should not totally fulfill the finest and highest aim of his most beloved and noble commander? Moreover, the purpose of that commander is the purpose of all men, and his fulfillment is required by the pleasure, the compassion, and the justice of the king, and it is a matter of ease for him, not difficulty, causing him less difficulty than the transient places of enjoyment contained in the hospice of the world. Having spent so much effort on these places of witnessing that will last only 5 or 6 days, and on the foundation of this kingdom, in order to demonstrate instances of his power, he will without doubt display, at his seat of rule, true treasures, perfections and skills in such a manner, and open before us such spectacles that our intellects will be astonished. Those sent to this field of trial will not then be left to their own devices. Palaces of bliss or dungeons await them. 6th aspect. Come now, look. All these imposing railways, planes, machines, warehouses, exhibitions show that behind the veil, an imposing monarch exists and governs. Footnote 3. When a vast army in the present age receives the order, "Take up your weapons and fix your bayonets," in accordance with the rules of war while on manoeuvre, it comes to resemble a forest of upright oaks. Similarly, when the soldiers of a garrison are commanded on festive days to don their parade uniforms and pin on their medals, it will resemble from one end to the other a colourful and ornate garden, where all the flowers have blossomed. Conversely, when on the parade ground of the world, the various and infinite species of the soldiery of the pre-eternal monarch, angels, jinn, men, animals, and even unfeeling plants, receive the order of be. And it is in the struggle for life's preservation, and the command, "Take up your weapons and equipment, and prepare to defend yourselves," when they fix the minute bayonets that are the spiked trees and plants found throughout the world, then they resemble a magnificent army advancing with bayonets fixed. Similarly, each day and each week of the spring is like a festival for each class of the vegetable kingdom, and each class presents itself to the witnessing gaze of the pre-eternal monarch, with the jeweled decorations he has given them, as if it were on parade in order to display the fine gifts he has bestowed on them. It is as if all the plants and trees were heeding a dominical command. Don the bejeweled garments produced by God's artistry, put on the decorations made by his creative power, flowers and fruit. The face of the earth then comes to represent a parade ground on a splendid, festive day, a magnificent parade brilliant with the uniforms and jeweled decorations of the soldiers. Such wise and well-ordered arrangement and ornament demonstrates of a certainty, to all who are not blind, that they derive from the command of a monarch, infinite in power and unlimited in wisdom. Such a monarch requires subjects worthy of himself, but now you see all his subjects gathered in a hospice for wayfarers, a hospice that is filled and emptied each day. It can also be said that his subjects are now gathered in a testing ground for the sake of manoeuvres, and this ground also changes each hour. Again, we may say that all his subjects stay in an exhibition hall for a few minutes to behold specimens of the monarch's beneficence, valuable products of his miraculous art. But the exhibition itself changes each moment. Now this situation and circumstance conclusively shows that beyond the hospice, the testing ground, the exhibition, there are permanent palaces, lasting abodes, and gardens and treasuries full of the pure and elevated originals of the samples and shapes we see in this world. It is for the sake of these that we exert ourselves here. Here we labour, and there we receive our reward. A form and degree of felicity suited to everyone's capacity awaits us there. 7th aspect. Come, let us walk a little and see what is to be found among these civilized people. See, in every place, at every corner, photographers are sitting and taking pictures. Look, everywhere there are scribes sitting and writing things down. Everything is being recorded. They are registering the least significant of deeds, the most commonplace of events. Now look up at the tall mountain. There you see a supreme photographer installed, devoted to the service of the king. Footnote 4. Some of the truths indicated in this parable have been set forth in the 7th truth. However, let us point out here that the figure of the supreme photographer devoted to the service of the king, is an indication of the preserved tablet. The reality and existence of the preserved tablet has been proved in the 26th word as follows. A little portfolio suggests the existence of a great ledger. A little document points to the existence of a great register, and little drops point to the existence of a great water tank. So too, the retentive faculties of men, the fruits of trees, the seeds and kernels of fruit, being each like a little portfolio, a preserved tablet in miniature, or a drop proceeding from the pen that inscribes the great preserved tablet, they point to, indicate, and prove the existence of a supreme retentive faculty, a great register, an exalted preserved tablet. Indeed, they demonstrate this visibly to the perceptive intellect. He is taking pictures of all that happens in the area. The king must, then, have issued this order, record all the transactions made and deeds performed in the kingdom. In other words, that exalted personage is having all events registered and photographically recorded. The precise record he is keeping must without doubt be for the sake of one day calling his subjects to account. Now, is it at all possible that an all-wise and all-preserving being, who does not neglect the most banal doings of the lowest of his subjects, should not record the most significant deeds of the greatest among his subjects, should not call them to account, should not reward and punish them? After all, it is those foremost among his subjects that perform deeds offensive to his glory, contrary to his pride, and unacceptable to his compassion, and those deeds remain unpunished in this world. It must be, therefore, that their judgment is postponed to a supreme court. Eighth aspect. Come, let me read to you the decrees issued by that monarch. See, he repeatedly makes the following promises and dire threats. I will take you from your present abode and bring you to the seat of my rule. There I shall bestow happiness on the obedient and imprison the disobedient. Destroying that temporary abode, I shall find a different realm containing eternal palaces and dungeons. He can easily fulfill the promises that he makes, of such importance for his subjects. It is, moreover, incompatible with his pride and his power that he should break his promise. So look, O confused one, you assent to the claims of your mendacious imagination, your distraught intellect, your deceptive soul, but deny the words of a being who cannot be compelled in any fashion to break his promise, whose high stature does not admit any such faithlessness, and to whose truthfulness all visible deeds bear witness. Certainly, you deserve a great punishment. You resemble a traveller who closes his eyes to the light of the sun and looks instead upon his own imagination. His fancy wishes to illuminate his awesomely dark path with the light of his brain, although it is no more than a glowworm. Once that monarch makes a promise, he will by all means fulfill it. Its fulfillment is most easy for him, and moreover most necessary for us and all things, as well as for him too and his kingdom. There is therefore a supreme court and a lofty felicity. Ninth aspect. Come now, look at the heads of these offices and groups. The meanings indicated in this aspect can be found in the eighth truth. For example, by heads of offices, we mean the prophets and the saints. As for the telephone, it is a link and relation with God that goes forth from the heart and is the mirror of revelation and the receptacle of inspiration. The heart is like the earpiece of that telephone. Each has a private telephone to speak personally with the king. Sometimes, too, they go directly to his presence, see what they say, and unanimously report that the monarch has prepared a most magnificent and awesome place for reward and punishment. His promises are emphatic, and his threats are most stern. His pride and dignity are such that he would in no way stoop to the abjectness inherent in the breaking of a promise. The bearers of this report, who are so numerous as to be universally accepted, further report with the strong unanimity of consensus that the seat and headquarters of the lofty monarchy, some of whose traces are visible here, is in another realm far distant from here. The buildings existing in this testing ground are but temporary, and will later be exchanged for eternal palaces. These places will change, for this magnificent and unfading monarchy, the splendour of which is apparent from its works, can in no way be founded or based on so transient, impermanent, unstable, insignificant, changing, defective and imperfect matters. It is based rather on matters worthy of it, eternal, stable, permanent, and glorious. There is, then, another realm, and of a certainty we shall go toward it. Tenth aspect. Come today is the vernal equinox. Footnote 6. You will find what this aspect alludes to in the ninth truth. The vernal equinox is equivalent to the beginning of spring. As for the green plain covered with flowers, this is the face of the earth in springtime. The changing scenes and spectacles are an allusion to the different groups of vernal beings, the classes of summer creation, and the sustenance for men and animals, that the all-powerful and glorious Maker, the all-wise and beauteous Creator, from the beginning of spring to the end of summer, brings forth in orderly succession, renews with the utmost compassion, and dispatches uninterruptedly. Certain changes will take place, and wondrous things will occur. On this fine spring day, let us go for a walk on the green plain adorned with beautiful flowers. See, other people are also coming toward it. There must be some magic at work, for buildings that were mere ruins have suddenly sprung up again here, and this once empty plain has become like a populous city. See, every hour it shows a different scene, just like a cinema screen, and takes on a different shape. But notice, too, that among these complex, swiftly changing and multifarious scenes, perfect order exists, so that all things are put in their proper places. The imaginary scenes presented to us on the cinema screen cannot be as well ordered as this, and millions of skilled magicians would be incapable of this artistry. This monarch whom we cannot see must then have performed even greater miracles. O foolish one, you ask, how can this vast kingdom be destroyed and re-established somewhere else? You see that every hour numerous changes and revolutions occur, just like that transfer from one realm to another that your mind will not accept. From this gathering in and scattering forth, it can be deduced that a certain purpose is concealed within these visible and swift joinings and separations, these compoundings and dissolvings. 10 years of effort would not be devoted to a joining together destined to last no longer than an hour. So these circumstances we witness cannot be ends in themselves. They are a kind of parable of something beyond themselves, an imitation of it. That exalted being brings them about in miraculous fashion, so that they take shape and then merge, and the result is preserved and recorded, in just the same way that every aspect of a maneuver on the battleground is written down and recorded. This implies that proceedings at some great concourse and meeting will be based on what happens here. Further, the results of all that occurs here will be permanently displayed at some supreme exposition. All the transient and fluctuating phenomena we see here will yield the fruit of eternal and immutable form. All the variations we observe in this world are then, for the sake of a supreme happiness, a lofty tribunal, for the sake of exalted aims as yet unknown to us. 11th aspect. Come, O obstinate friend, let us embark on a plane or a train, travelling east or west, that is, to the past or the future. Let us see what miraculous works that being has accomplished in other places. Look, there are marvels on every hand, like the dwellings, open spaces, and exhibitions we see. But they all differ with respect to art and to form. Note well, however, what order betokening manifest wisdom, what indications of evident compassion, what signs of lofty justice, and what fruits of comprehensive mercy are to be seen in these transient dwellings, these impermanent open spaces, these fleeting exhibitions. Anyone not totally devoid of insight will understand a certainty that no wisdom can be imagined more perfect than his, no providence more beauteous than his, no compassion more comprehensive than his, and no justice more glorious than his. If, for the sake of argument, as you imagine, no permanent abodes, lofty places, fixed stations, lasting residences, or resident and contented population existed in the sphere of his kingdom, and if the truths of his wisdom, compassion, mercy and justice had no realm in which to manifest themselves fully, for this impermanent kingdom is no place for their full manifestation, then we would be obliged to deny the wisdom we see, to deny the compassion we observe, to deny the mercy that is in front of our eyes, and to deny the justice, the signs of which are evident. This would be as idiotic as denying the sun, the light of which we clearly see at midday. We would also have to regard the one from whom proceed all these wise measures we see, all these generous acts, all these merciful gifts, as a vile gambler or treacherous tyrant. God forbid. This would be to turn truth on its head, and turning a truth into its opposite is impossible, according to the unanimous testimony of all rational beings, excepting only the idiot sophists who deny everything. There is then a realm apart from the present one. In it there is a supreme tribunal, a lofty place of justice, an exalted place of reward, where all this compassion, wisdom, mercy and justice will be made fully manifest. 12th aspect. Come, let us return now. We will speak with the chiefs and officers of these various groups, and looking at their equipment will inquire whether that equipment has been given them only for the sake of subsisting for a brief period in that realm, or whether it has been given for the sake of obtaining a long life of bliss in another realm. Let us see. We cannot look at everyone and his equipment, but by way of example, let us look at the identity card and register of this officer. On his card, his rank, salary, duty, supplies and instructions are recorded. See, this rank has not been awarded him for just a few days. It may be given for a prolonged period. It says on his card, "You will receive so much salary on such and such a day from the Treasury." But the date in question will not arrive for a long time to come, after this realm has been vacated. Similarly, the duty mentioned on his card has not been given for this temporary realm, but rather for the sake of earning a permanent felicity in the proximity of the king. Then, too, the supplies awarded him cannot be merely for the sake of subsisting in this hospice of a few days' duration. They can only be for the sake of a long and happy life. The instructions make it quite clear that he's destined for a different place, that he's working for another realm. Now look at these registers. They contain instructions for the use and disposition of weapons and equipment. If there were no realm other than this, one exalted and eternal, that register with its categorical instructions and that identity card with its clear information would both be quite meaningless. Further, that respected officer, that noble commander, that honoured chief, would fall to a degree lower than that of all men. He would be more wretched, luckless, abased, afflicted, indigent and weak than everyone. Apply the same principle to everything. Whatever you look upon bears witness that after this transient world, another and eternal world exists. O friend, this temporary world is like a field. It's a place of instruction, a market. Without doubt, a supreme tribunal and ultimate happiness will succeed it. If you deny this, you will be obliged also to deny the identity cards of all the officers, their equipment, and their orders. In fact, you will have to deny too all the order existing in the country. the existence of a government in it and all the measures that the government takes. Then you will no longer deserve the name of man or the appellation of conscious. You will be more of a fool than the sophists. Beware. Do not imagine that the proofs of the transfer of creation from one realm to another are restricted to these 12. There are indications and proofs beyond counting and enumeration, all showing that this impermanent changing kingdom will be transformed into a permanent and immutable realm. There are also innumerable signs and evidences that men will be taken from this temporary hospice and sent to the eternal seat of rule of all creation. I will show one proof in particular that is stronger than all the 12 aspects taken together. Come now, look, in the midst of the great assembly visible in the distance, the same noble commander whom we previously saw on the island, adorned with numerous decorations, is making an announcement. Let us go and listen. See, that luminous and most noble commander is conveying a supreme edict, beautifully inscribed. He says, "Prepare yourselves. You will go to another and permanent realm, a realm such that this one will appear as a dungeon by comparison. You will go to the seat of rule of our king, and there receive his compassion and his bounty, if you heed this edict well and obey it. But if you rebel and disobey it, you will be cast into awesome dungeons." Such is the message that he conveys. If you look at the decree, you will see that it bears such a miraculous seal that it cannot in any way be imitated. Everyone apart from idiots such as yourself knows of a certainty that the decree is from the king. Moreover, the noble commander bears such bright decorations that everyone except those blind like yourself understands full well that he is the veracious conveyor of the king's orders. Is it at all possible that the teaching of transfer from one realm to another, challengingly conveyed by that noble commander in the supreme edict he has received, should at all be open to objection? No, it is not possible, unless we deny all that we have seen. Now, O friend, it is your turn to speak. Say what you have to say. What should I say? What can be said to contradict all of this? Who can speak against the sun at midday? I say only, praise be to God. 100,000 thanks that I have been saved from the dominance of fancy and vain imagination, and delivered from an eternal dungeon and prison. I have come to believe that there's an abode of felicity in the proximity of the monarch, separate from this confused and impermanent hospice. Our comparison indicating the truth of resurrection and the hereafter is now complete. Now, with God's grace, we will pass on to the most exalted truth. We shall set forth 12 interrelated truths, corresponding to the 12 aspects discussed above, as well as an introduction.